Imagine stumbling upon a single penny that could completely rewrite your life story. A penny so powerful, so rare, that it can transform an ordinary afternoon of cleaning out an old jar into a moment worth almost $1 million. Today, we're diving deep into a coin that's been quietly hiding in pockets and drawers across America, the 1942 Lincoln wheat penny with no mint mark. You might be holding on to a piece of history that could make you wealthier than you ever imagined. Why does one humble penny hold the power to change your destiny? Why have collectors spent decades hunting it, praying to be the one lucky enough to discover it before someone else does? It's not just a coin, it's a hidden golden ticket, a silent millionaire's whisper in copper disguised at in 1942. America was in the midst of a war that consumed every ounce of metal, every drop of energy, and every man's spirit. The country was shifting, evolving. While millions of soldiers fought overseas, the U.S. Mint continued to produce pennies to keep the economy alive. But in that chaotic year, some Lincoln wheat pennies slipped through the cracks, struck without a mint mark in Philadelphia, carrying small, almost invisible details that would set them apart from the billions of ordinary pennies. Can you imagine the feeling of finding one of these in your old coin collection? Your heart pounds. Your fingers tremble. You stare at that tiny date, 1942, and you start questioning everything you thought you knew about spare change. That's because a perfectly preserved 1942 no mint mark wheat penny has sold for as high as $970,000 at auction. Let that number sink in. Almost $1 million, for a single cent. Most people wouldn't even look twice at an old penny. They toss them in tip jars, drop them between couch cushions, or leave them to gather dust in kitchen drawers. But here's a question: what if you've been ignoring a life-changing fortune all along? What if the road to a new house, a dream car, or early retirement is hidden inside a jar you've forgotten about for years? It's easy to think these coins are myths, stories made up to excite collectors. But the reality is far more thrilling. The 1942 wheat penny with no mint mark carries a subtle design error and was struck with an unusually sharp die, creating finer details on Lincoln's profile and the wheat stalks on the reverse. This minor difference is what sets it apart from the billions of regular coins, and turns it into a treasure map for those who dare to look closely. Pause for a second. Picture your family's reaction when they find out that old penny in your hand is worth more than a house. Imagine the freedom to pay off every debt, travel the world, or finally tell your boss, "I'm done." It isn't just about money, it's about reclaiming control of your life, your dreams, your future. Now, you might be wondering, how do I know if my 1942 penny is the one? Great question. First, look at the date carefully. No mint mark beneath the date means it was struck in Philadelphia. That's the first hint. Next, examine the sharpness of Lincoln's features. Is his jawline extra crisp? Can you see every line in the wheat stalks on the back? The more defined these details, the higher the chance you're holding something extraordinary. Lastly, the coin must be in excellent condition. Even a small scratch can dramatically reduce its value. Some collectors spend decades searching flea markets, estate sales, and dusty garages for this exact penny. It's a modern-day treasure hunt, and every day that passes is another chance someone else could find it before you do. But here's the twist: most people walk past their opportunity daily without a second glance. Do you really want to be that person who later says, "I had it, but I didn't look closely enough"? Or do you want to be the one who gets to hold up that tiny copper coin and say, "This penny just changed my life"? The world of rare coins is not just for historians or collectors in dusty libraries. It's for everyday Americans who dare to dream bigger. People who see a future where they don't just survive but thrive. Where a single discovery could wipe out years of financial struggle and open doors to new possibilities. Imagine sitting at your kitchen table tonight, holding that penny under a bright light, heart racing with each tiny detail you discover. The next morning, you're on the phone with an auction house, and suddenly, you're discussing numbers you never even dreamed of hearing. Numbers like $970,000. Every great story has a hero, and in this story, that hero could be you. But every hero needs to take that first brave step, to search, to believe, to act. So tonight, after this video ends, don't just scroll on to the next distraction. Grab that old jar of change. Open that forgotten drawer. Because somewhere, possibly in your home right now, hides a 1942 no-mint mark wheat penny that could unlock a life of luxury and freedom you've only imagined in your wildest dreams. This is more than a coin. This is your invitation to a different future. Are you ready to take it? A penny that could erase your debts, buy you a lakefront home, and let you finally live the life you've only dared to dream about. This isn't a fairy tale. This is the story of the 1944 wheat penny with no mint mark, a tiny copper relic that's igniting bidding wars across America and shocking collectors with its staggering value. But what makes this humble coin so valuable? And could one be sitting quietly in your home right now? Let's step back to 1944, a year the world would never forget. The war was raging, families were torn apart, and America was fighting not only for victory but for survival itself. Amid the chaos, the U.S. Mint pressed millions of pennies, each carrying Lincoln's solemn face and the wheat stalk symbolizing prosperity and resilience. But among those countless coins, a few, just a few, were struck so perfectly, so cleanly, without any mint mark, that they've become the holy grail for collectors today. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Most 1944 pennies were produced in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The Philadelphia coins carried no mint mark, and while millions were made, only a tiny fraction escaped the harshness of circulation unscathed. Imagine a delicate survivor, hiding in plain sight for over 80 years, waiting for someone to uncover its secret. That's what makes the no mint mark 1944 wheat penny a silent giant in the world of numismatics. A few of these coins have surfaced at major auctions, and their prices have left even the most seasoned collectors speechless. One pristine example sold for a jaw-dropping $967,000, nearly $1 million for a single cent. Think about that for a moment. How many other things in your life could you possibly trade for that kind of money? Your car. Your house. And yet, here's a penny, something most people toss aside, potentially holding the power to rewrite your destiny. You might be wondering, why would someone pay that much for a penny? It's not just about the metal or the design. It's the story. The connection to a turbulent past, the scarcity, and the dream of owning a piece of American history that no one else can claim. Owning this coin isn't just about money, it's about legacy, prestige, and power. It's about being the person who turned a forgotten jar of change into a seven-figure jackpot. Now, ask yourself, when was the last time you checked the dates on your old pennies? When did you last look through that coffee can in your garage or that old collection your grandfather handed down? What if you've been sitting on a fortune all these years without even realizing it? These are the questions that keep collectors up at night and drive treasure hunters across the country to rummage through estate sales, flea markets, and family basements. But before you rush to dig through every coin you own, you need to know exactly what to look for. A genuine 1944 no mint mark wheat penny in top condition will have crisp, sharp details. Lincoln's profile should be bold and well-defined, and the wheat stalks on the back should have fine, clear lines. Wear and scratches can dramatically reduce its value, so condition is everything. You should also check for unique features like double die errors or unusual striking anomalies, as these can send the price skyrocketing even higher. Imagine the thrill of holding this tiny piece of copper between your fingers, knowing you're touching a piece of wartime history. The same year our soldiers landed on Normandy beaches, the same year millions prayed for peace, a coin was born that could one day rescue you from financial struggles. The energy, the sweat, the blood of a nation, all crystallized into one small, unassuming cent. Picture what you'd do if you cashed it in tomorrow. Would you travel the world, dine in the finest restaurants, or finally build that dream home overlooking the ocean? Would you set up college funds for your children, or just enjoy a life free from the relentless stress of bills and deadlines? It's not just a coin, it's a key to freedom, and here's the kicker. Some collectors estimate there are still hundreds of these rare 1944 no mint mark wheat pennies out there, waiting to be found. They're hiding in sock drawers, old piggy banks, dusty boxes in the attic. That means the next big discovery could be yours. But you'll never know unless you start searching, and you need to start today. The longer you wait, the more these coins disappear into private collections, never to see the light of day again. Every day you hesitate is another day someone else might find that $1 million penny. Can you live with the thought of a neighbor finding it first and living your dream life while you watch from the sidelines? This is your invitation to become a part of an elite circle of people who turned a penny into a fortune and a humble piece of history into a powerful future. So, tonight, after dinner, grab that jar, that old drawer, that forgotten box. Pull out every single penny, hold each one to the light, and look carefully at that date, 1944, no mint mark. Because hidden among those ordinary coins could be your ultimate escape plan, your secret to living rich, and your chance to finally break free. Remember, every fortune starts with a single bold step. Don't let yours slip through your fingers. Because in a world obsessed with dollars, sometimes it's the pennies that change everything. Have you ever held a single penny that could unlock a fortune worth nearly $1 million? Imagine stumbling upon a tiny copper coin in your attic, hidden beneath a pile of forgotten relics, and discovering it holds a secret that could change your life forever. Right now, somewhere in America, ordinary people are cashing in on this exact scenario. And tonight, I'm going to reveal to you a story so rare, so shocking, that it might just make you run to your old jars of spare change. It's the story of the 1945 wheat penny with no mint mark. At first glance, it looks like just another old Lincoln cent. But behind its humble face lies a hidden treasure, a mystery that has been buried for decades. Many people toss these pennies aside, never realizing they're holding a key to an entirely different life. But the collectors, oh, they know. And they're paying up to $962,000 for the right one. Let that number sink in. Almost $1 million, for a penny you might already own. Why would anyone pay such a staggering amount for a single cent? Let's travel back to 1945. The war had just ended, and America was breathing again. Factories shifted from making weapons to producing coins, but metal was scarce. The government used leftover wartime materials and rushed mints into circulation. In this chaos, a few extraordinary pennies slipped through. Most people think that all 1945 pennies are common, but they're wrong. Deeply, painfully wrong. Because there were a handful struck with unique planchet errors, slight die variations, and mysterious misalignments that make them virtually one of a kind. Now, you might be asking, how do I know if my penny is the one worth a house on the beach, a brand new luxury car, or the retirement you've always dreamed of? We'll get there. But first, let's think about this. When was the last time you looked closely at your pocket change? Have you ever checked those dusty old boxes in the garage? What if your future is quietly waiting inside an old coffee can? People throw these stories away every day, without a second thought. Imagine the heartbreak when they find out, years later, that they tossed away nearly $1 million. A few years ago, a man in Ohio discovered one of these 1945 no-mint mark wheat pennies in his late grandfather's belongings. At first, he thought it was worthless, just another coin with a wheat design, just another memory of the past. But curiosity nudged him to take a closer look. After careful examination by experts, he learned that his penny had an extremely rare double die error and an uncirculated surface condition. The price it fetched? $962,000. Yes, you heard that right. One penny. One life-changing moment. One door to absolute freedom. What does this mean for you? It means that you could be next. It means that every old coin jar, every childhood collection, every dusty drawer could be hiding a similar miracle. Ask yourself, are you willing to risk throwing away your future because you didn't take a few moments to check? Let's dive deeper into what you should look for. The 1945 wheat penny with no mint mark was produced in Philadelphia. Most were made in the millions, but only a microscopic fraction came out with highly desirable errors, like off-center strikes, double dies, or rare planchet varieties. These anomalies make collectors' hearts race. You need to examine Lincoln's profile under a magnifying glass. Look at the letters in Liberty and In God We Trust. Slight distortions, splits, or unusual spacing can hint at a double die. Flip it over and study the wheat stalks. Are they uneven, stretched, or blurred? These small clues could unlock an unimaginable payday, but don't rush. Many people make the mistake of polishing or cleaning their coins, thinking they'll make them more valuable. That's like repainting the Mona Lisa, it destroys the true value. Condition is everything. Even a rare error coin can lose tens of thousands of dollars in value if improperly handled. So if you find one that looks promising, don't touch it with bare hands. Store it in a protective holder and seek a professional coin grader immediately. That single choice could determine whether you cash in for a few hundred, or for nearly $1 million. What would you do if you suddenly had $962,000? Would you finally buy that lake house you've been dreaming about? Send your children to college without debt? Retire early and travel the world in first-class comfort? It's not just a coin. It's a vessel of possibilities. It's a whisper from history, calling you to take a second look at your own life, your own potential, and here's the twist: many people watching this right now will ignore this message. They'll assume it's impossible. That it only happens to lucky people. But those who take action, those who search, learn, and verify, will be the ones telling their grandchildren about the day they turned a penny into a fortune. That I want you to imagine that moment. You walk into a coin shop or a coin show, your heart pounding. You hand over the penny, the dealer's eyes widen, he goes silent. The air feels electric. Then he whispers that life-changing number. And in that instant, every sacrifice, every hardship, every long night worrying about bills melts away. Because you listened, you dared, and you believed, the 1945 wheat penny with no mint mark is more than metal. It's an invitation to dream bigger than you ever thought possible. And tonight, as you turn off this video, don't just forget what you heard. Take action. Check every jar, every drawer, every box. Because someone out there is about to change their life forever. And it might as well be you. So, are you going to be the one who regrets, or the one who celebrates? The choice is sitting in your pocket, right now. Go find it. 1 cent, just one. But not just any cent, a 1946 wheat penny with no mint mark. Somewhere, tucked away in an old jar or hidden inside your grandfather's drawer, there might be a coin worth as much as $959,000. Yes, you heard that right. Nearly $1 million for something you might think is worthless. But why is this tiny piece of copper commanding a price that could buy you a lakefront mansion or pay for your grandkids' college tuition in full? It all begins in the shadow of a war that left the world breathless. 1946 was supposed to be a year of new beginnings, of rebuilding, of hope. America was celebrating, soldiers were returning home, and ordinary families were collecting every last coin to piece their lives back together. But inside the mints, something unexpected happened. In Philadelphia, a batch of Lincoln wheat pennies emerged. They looked ordinary at first glance, but tiny variations turned them into hidden treasures. And today, collectors fight tooth and nail to get their hands on one in pristine condition. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to stumble upon life-changing money while others never get a break? It's not always luck. Sometimes, it's the willingness to look closer, to see beyond the obvious. The 1946 no-mint mark wheat penny is a perfect example. Most people see a worn coin and toss it into a jar, but the wise collector knows that certain 1946 pennies carry specific die errors and sharp design details that elevate them into a different league entirely. Imagine you're holding one right now. You feel its weight, think about its journey through decades of history, and realize that every scratch tells a story. Some of these coins slipped past the eyes of mint workers, carrying doubled letters, misaligned dies, or unusually sharp wheat stalks on the reverse. Those microscopic differences are exactly what could make your coin worth hundreds of thousands. A single example graded at the highest mint state recently shocked the market, fetching nearly $959,000 at a private auction. Can you picture the auction room? The tense silence before the hammer falls, the bidders gripping their paddles, and someone finally winning with a bid that could buy an entire neighborhood. All for a penny that might be hiding in your pocket change right now. But here's the twist. Most Americans have no idea what to look for. That's why countless fortunes stay trapped in dusty boxes, slipping away generation after generation. Imagine finding out your father's old coin jar could have funded your dream beach house in Malibu or that perfect cross-country road trip you've been planning since college. And it all comes down to whether you dare to look at each coin with a collector's eye. Have you checked your change recently? Or are you like most people who assume that old pennies are just scrap metal? Let me ask you something. When was the last time you held a coin and really looked at it, not just for its face value, but for its hidden stories? What if I told you that by simply flipping a penny and spotting a subtle doubling in Lincoln's profile or an unexpected sharpness on the wheat ears, you could unlock a treasure worth more than some luxury cars? The power of the 1946 wheat penny isn't just in its copper or its design. It's in its symbolism, a quiet promise that the ordinary can become extraordinary if you pay close enough attention. This isn't just about a coin. It's about that deep, burning hope in all of us to discover something that changes our lives forever. So, how do you check if you're sitting on a fortune? First, find every 1946 wheat penny you have and look for one without any mint mark under the date. Then, under bright light or with a magnifying glass, check Lincoln's bust for doubled outlines, focus on the lettering for any ghost-like shadows, and study the wheat stalks for deeper, unexpected grooves. If you see something unusual, don't panic. That's your golden signal. Get it professionally graded immediately. A high-grade error coin could bring you that dream retirement home or the financial freedom you've always craved. You might be asking, why haven't I heard about this before? Because the biggest treasures often hide in plain sight. Many collectors keep this knowledge quiet to swoop in on unsuspecting estate sales or yard finds. But today, you have the chance to turn the tables. You can be the one who discovers a forgotten masterpiece in a box labeled junk change. Picture this: you walk into a coin shop with what you think is just a penny. Minutes later, the dealer's eyes widen, he looks at you, and you realize you're holding a life-changing check disguised as a coin. Your heart pounds. Your palms sweat. You walk out of that store knowing your entire life just changed in an instant. That a 1946 no-mint mark wheat penny isn't just a piece of history. It's an invitation, a quiet whisper from the past urging you to open your eyes, look closer, and believe in unexpected miracles. The next time you feel stuck in your routine, think about that tiny coin. Think about how something so small, so ignored, can transform a life. Don't let this be another story you hear about too late. You deserve to be the hero of your own story, not just a spectator in someone else's auction victory. Take action today. Search your jars, check your drawers, flip every penny in your pocket. Because one day soon, you could be holding the key to a new life, and it all starts with a humble, overlooked penny from 1946. It's out there waiting for you. The question is, are you ready to find it?